A soldier steps into the Hawaiian rainforest carrying 60 pounds of gear. Within minutes, sweat soaks through his uniform. The air is thick, over 90 degrees, and breathing feels like inhaling steam. His boots sink into mud that wasn't there a moment ago. Solid ground turns to knee-deep slurry in a single step. Overhead, the jungle canopy blocks the sun. It will stay this way for 12 days straight. No beds, no showers, no relief. He will sleep on wet ground surrounded by insects. He will wade through waist-deep streams infested with leeches. His feet will develop fungal rot from constant moisture. His radio will fail under the dense vegetation. His GPS will lie to him. And if his body breaks down before the course ends, he will join the 30 to 40% who don't finish. This is the U.S. Army's Jungle Operations Training Course, a 12-day gauntlet designed to answer one question: can you fight when your body is failing? The 12-day breakdown clock history proves the jungle defeats unprepared forces. In World War II's Pacific campaigns, malaria and dysentery caused more casualties than enemy fire in some units. Vietnam saw over 65% of hospital admissions come from disease and non-battle injuries. The jungle consumed American forces through systematic physiological breakdown. At Schofield Barracks in Hawaii, the Army's Jungle Operations Training Course runs 8 times per year. 75 students per class, 70% pass rate. The ones who finish prove they can operate when every biological system is screaming to quit. The course structure is deceptively simple. Week 1 teaches survival fundamentals: shelter, fire, and water. Week 2 adds small unit tactics while soldiers are already fatigued. Week 3 demands combat effectiveness through multi-day field exercises. But the real curriculum is physiological stress. From the moment students enter the jungle, their bodies begin degrading on a predictable timeline. Hour 1, sweat production exceeds fluid intake. Dehydration begins. Day 2, feet remain wet inside boots. Skin softens, becomes vulnerable. Day 4, sleep deprivation accumulates. Cognitive function declines. Day 7, caloric deficit creates muscle catabolism. Strength drops. Day 10, minor infections become serious. Immune response weakens. Training runs 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. There are no breaks, no return to barracks, no timeouts. Students live in the field continuously. They describe being constantly tired, hungry, and wet, not as a complaint, but as a statement of fact. The dropout rate validates the difficulty. They study tropical diseases, envenomation protocols, and what instructors call jungle dermatology, the specific skin conditions that develop in constant moisture. The jungle doesn't care about training schedules. It operates on physiological law. Push the body past thermal limits and the body shuts down. The jungle rot mechanism. After 3 days of constant wetness, soldiers notice their feet feel different. Soft, spongy. The skin has absorbed so much moisture that the tissue structure changes. This is the beginning of jungle rot. The medical term is tropical immersion foot. The mechanism is straightforward. Human skin isn't designed for perpetual wetness. After sustained exposure, the outer layer breaks down. Bacteria and fungi colonize the damaged tissue. Infection spreads into deeper layers. Ulcers form. Walking becomes painful, then impossible. In severe cases, tissue necrosis requires medical evacuation. Jungle rot isn't a metaphor. It's dermis degradation from moisture exposure. And it happens to everyone who stays wet long enough. The only variable is how long enough takes for each individual. Instructors teach prevention protocols from day 1. Soldiers must dry their feet whenever possible, during rest breaks, at night, any chance they get. Change socks regularly. Apply antifungal powder. Air out boots even if it means going barefoot temporarily. But the jungle makes prevention nearly impossible. There's nowhere dry to stand. Streams cross every patrol route. Rain falls suddenly and heavily. Mud clings to everything. Within an hour of drying their feet, soldiers are wading through another creek. The choice becomes: accept perpetual wetness and manage the rot, or slow the mission for foot care. Combat operations don't pause for foot hygiene, so soldiers learn to function while their feet deteriorate. They wrap blisters, they drain fluid from infected areas. They take analgesics to dull the pain and keep walking. By week 2, nearly everyone has some degree of fungal infection. By week 3, students with severe cases struggle to complete patrol distances. Instructors watch for soldiers who can't keep pace. Degraded mobility means they're approaching the medical evacuation threshold. Those who finish the course often describe their feat as the most challenging aspect, not the heat, not the hunger, the constant battle against tissue breakdown from wetness. Small medical failure cascades into mission failure. Can't walk means can't patrol. Can't patrol means can't fight. The jungle wins through the accumulation of minor wounds. Disease as the historical enemy. Mosquitoes swarm at dusk. Dozens land on exposed skin within seconds. The insects are relentless, and they carry diseases that have killed more American soldiers than any enemy army. Malaria, dengue fever, Japanese encephalitis. All are transmitted through mosquito bites. All are capable of incapacitating entire units. During World War II's Pacific Theater, some American units saw malaria infection rates exceed 80%. Entire battalions became non-functional, not from combat losses, but from disease. Vietnam repeated the pattern. Despite advances in tropical medicine, American forces still experienced massive disease casualties. Modern training incorporates this history as doctrine. Students receive prophylactic anti-malarial medication before entering the jungle. They apply insect repellent multiple times daily. They sleep under treated mosquito netting when possible. But prevention isn't perfect. Mosquitoes bite through clothing. Repellent washes off in rain and sweat. Soldiers still get bitten hundreds of times during the 12-day course. Combat medics study tropical diseases extensively now. They learn to recognize early symptoms, fever spikes, joint pain, altered mental status. They carry rapid diagnostic tests for malaria. Because in combat, there's no medical evacuation for every fever. Medics must diagnose and treat in the field while the mission continues. The jungle contains invisible enemies more lethal than human adversaries. Insects carry death in their saliva. Water contains parasites that colonize the intestines. Soil harbors bacteria that cause necrotizing infections. Soldiers must learn to navigate this biological minefield while exhausted, hungry, and focused on tactical objectives. Sleep deprivation. Under perpetual dusk, the jungle canopy blocks the sun completely. Light filters down as dim green twilight, even at noon. By late afternoon, the forest floor is dark. Soldiers lose their circadian rhythm within days. Human brains rely on light-dark cycles to regulate sleep patterns. Remove the sun, and the internal clock drifts. Students report feeling disoriented about time. Is it morning or evening? How long have we been moving? Training makes this worse. Patrols operate on tactical schedules, not circadian ones. Soldiers sleep in irregular shifts. 2 hours here, 90 minutes there, whenever the mission allows a halt. They never achieve deep REM sleep stages. They accumulate sleep debt that compounds daily. By week 2, cognitive impairment becomes obvious. Reaction times are slow. Decision-making degrades. Memory consolidation fails. Soldiers forget instructions given an hour ago, but the course doesn't pause for sleep recovery. Students must function through the deprivation. They learn techniques, brief micro-sleeps during security halts, buddy checks to ensure both stay alert, caffeine rationing to maximize effectiveness. The psychological component worsens everything. Perpetual darkness under the canopy creates sensory deprivation. No horizon, no sky, no distant landmarks. The world compresses to a few meters of visible space in every direction. Soldiers describe feeling trapped. The jungle presses in. Sounds become distorted. Insect noise blends into a constant roar that makes silence feel unnatural. Frogs create thunderous croaking at night. Instructors emphasize mental resilience training. Focus on immediate tasks. Trust your buddy. Don't dwell on discomfort. The mantra is simple. Keep moving. The ones who finish develop a particular skill, operating effectively while their brain is screaming for sleep. They learn to ignore fatigue signals, compartmentalize discomfort, and execute tasks through sheer discipline. Nutritional deficit and forced foraging. Soldiers carry minimal rations into the jungle. A few meal bars, small MRE pouches, maybe a kilogram of food total for 12 days of intense physical activity. This is intentional deprivation. The human body burns thousands of calories daily during jungle operations. Carrying heavy loads through mud and heat while conducting tactical drills requires massive energy expenditure. Students enter a caloric deficit within 48 hours. Hunger becomes constant by day 3. Instructors design exercises with no resupply. Patrols operate for multiple days with only the food they carry. When rations run out, soldiers must forage or go hungry. This isn't cultural education, it's a mathematical necessity. Week 1 includes survival training on edible plants. Instructors teach the identification of local fruits, roots, and vegetation safe for consumption. Students practice recognizing which palm hearts are edible, which berries are toxic, and which leaves can be chewed for moisture. But plants provide minimal calories. Real nutrition requires protein. Soldiers learn to trap and fish using improvised equipment. They construct basic snares from paracord. They fashion fishing hooks from wire and thorns. They dig for grubs and insects under rotting logs. The first time a soldier eats a live grub is memorable. The texture, the slight crunch, the knowledge that this wriggling thing is currently their best protein source. Some students can't do it. They stare at the insect, gag, and put it down. Hunger eventually overrides disgust, but not immediately. Others treat it pragmatically. Calories are calories. Close your eyes, chew quickly, swallow. Done. Joint training exercises with allies introduce additional survival foods. Brazilian jungle instructors taught American soldiers to recognize Amazonian fruits during a recent exercise. Philippine instructors demonstrated catching and eating snakes, including drinking cobra blood as a hydration source. The lesson isn't about specific foods, it's about resourcefulness. Nothing goes to waste. Every potential calorie source matters when the body is depleting its energy reserves. By week 2, students are noticeably thinner. Faces become gaunt. Muscles look deflated. The body is cannibalizing itself for energy, breaking down muscle tissue to sustain core functions. This affects performance. Strength drops. Endurance declines. Tasks that were manageable in week 1 become exhausting in week 3. Soldiers must complete combat missions while their bodies are consuming themselves. They must patrol, navigate, react to contact, and lead squads despite being in active starvation mode. The military calls this operating in austere conditions. The accurate term is controlled deprivation to test functional limits. Those who finish learn something valuable. You can function on far less food than you think. The body has reserves. The mind can push past hunger signals. Discomfort doesn't equal inability, but there's a cost. Students lose significant weight during the 12 days. They require weeks of recovery afterward to restore muscle mass and metabolic function. The jungle teaches efficiency through scarcity. When resources vanish, humans adapt or fail. The ones who adapt prove they can sustain operations even when supply lines collapse. The attitude override. Physical preparation alone doesn't predict who finishes. Some highly fit soldiers drop out in week 1. Others with average fitness complete the course. The differentiating variable is attitude. Instructors describe it as a can-do attitude combined with physical fitness. Both components are necessary. Fitness gets soldiers through the physical demands. Attitude gets them through the psychological breakdown. Around day 5, something shifts in students. The novelty wears off. The adventure becomes monotonous suffering. Wet, tired, hungry. Every day, no variation. The brain starts calculating. 7 more days of this. This is the dropout threshold. Some soldiers decide they can't. Not won't, can't. Their mental model of endurance reaches its limit. They approach instructors and request withdrawal. Medical evaluations usually show nothing preventing them from continuing. Their bodies are intact. Their minds have quit. Others reach the same point and push through. Buddy systems are critical. Soldiers are paired throughout training. When one struggles, the other compensates. Neither wants to be the reason the team fails. This social accountability overrides individual quit impulses. Leadership modeling matters too. Platoon sergeants and officers endure the same conditions. They're equally wet, equally exhausted, equally hungry. When students see their leaders functioning through the same breakdown, it reframes what's possible. Humor becomes a coping mechanism. Soldiers joke about the absurdity of their situation. Laughing at shared misery creates psychological distance from suffering. Small victories provide momentum. Made it through another stream crossing. Completed another navigation leg. Built a fire despite everything being soaked. Each success reinforces capability. The ones who finish develop a particular resilience. Not physical toughness, psychological flexibility, the ability to reframe suffering as temporary, as meaningful, as survivable. They learn to exist in discomfort without catastrophizing. Yes, this is terrible. Yes, I can continue anyway. What graduation proves. Week 3 culminates in continuous field exercises. Small units conduct multi-day patrols through the unmapped jungle. They navigate to coordinates with no visible landmarks. They execute simulated ambushes against an opposing force, all while operating at physiological zero. By day 10, every soldier's body is failing. The feet are infected. Skin is covered in rashes and insect bites. Uniforms are rotting from constant moisture. Minds are foggy from sleep deprivation. And they must complete combat missions successfully. This is the test. Not survival, combat effectiveness during system failure. Platoon leaders must make tactical decisions with impaired cognition. Squad leaders must navigate when their GPS is unreliable and their map is waterlogged. Individual soldiers must maintain security and react to contact while exhausted. Instructors observe and grade ruthlessly. The standard doesn't change because conditions are harsh. The standard is, can you perform your job when everything is terrible? Some students fail this final assessment. They completed the survival portions but can't maintain tactical competence under stress. Others succeed. They demonstrate that despite physiological breakdown, they can still lead. The attitude override. Physical preparation alone doesn't predict who finishes. Some highly fit soldiers drop out in week 1. Others with average fitness complete the course. The differentiating variable is attitude. Instructors describe it as a can-do attitude combined with physical fitness. Both components are necessary. Fitness gets soldiers through the physical demands. Attitude gets them through the psychological breakdown. Around day 5, something shifts in students. The novelty wears off. The adventure becomes monotonous suffering. Wet, tired, hungry. Every day, no variation. The brain starts calculating. 7 more days of this. This is the dropout threshold. Some soldiers decide they can't. Not won't, can't. Their mental model of endurance. The jungle is patient. It doesn't attack directly. It just applies pressure, heat, moisture, insects, terrain, darkness, and waits for humans to break down. 12 days in the Hawaiian rainforest test that threshold. Soldiers enter healthy and leave depleted. They lose weight, develop infections, and accumulate injuries. But the ones who finish prove something valuable. They prove the mind can override the body's shutdown signals. They prove that combat effectiveness survives physiological failure. This capability matters. Modern conflicts increasingly occur in tropical regions. Future operations will see American soldiers deployed to environments that resemble the training course: hot, wet, disease-ridden, hostile. Those soldiers need to know they can endure, that their bodies will fail and they'll keep going anyway. JOTC provides that certainty. It strips away every comfort, every advantage, every resource. It reduces soldiers to their baseline capability and asks, can you still fight? For 70%, the answer is yes. Those soldiers earn the Jungle Tab not because they're the strongest or fastest, but because they proved their resilience is real. They operated at 0 for 12 days. They led when leading seemed impossible. The jungle tested them and they didn't break.